EQ is one of the most important tools for making your vocals stand out, but if you use it wrong, it can completely destroy a vocal mix. A big problem I see all the time with amateur mixes is that the vocals sound thin, unnatural, hollow, and empty. And whenever that happens, it's almost always because of the EQ. So we're gonna fix that. In this video, I'm gonna share with you what I feel is the single most important vocal EQ hack for taking your vocals from that amateur empty sound to that full, clear, and professional sound that you're looking for. And it's incredibly easy to do once you know this trick. I'll simplify the entire process so you'll be able to apply this to your next mix. Let's get started. So listen to this vocal we're gonna be working with. It's completely raw right now. So let's do a quick dial in of the rest of the chain, but I'm gonna skip the EQ for right now.
Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit, the way that you move got me excited, babe. I wanna feel your clothes, rubbing on my clothes. Come on, girl, let's go. You're the one I chose. Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe.
So a little compression and de-essing. I love this smooth dynamics mode. It just brings the vocal right to the front of the mix. We skipped the EQ for right now. We're going to come back to that. But then we did a little bit of space. We did some ducking to make sure that space stays ultra clear. And then a little bit of round tape saturation just to finish it off. So now I want you to listen to this vocal and I want you to think about what does the tone of the vocal sound like compared to the tone of the track. So does it sound brighter and crispier? Does it sound darker and duller? Just pay attention specifically to the vocal tone.
Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe.
Now, it sounds to me like the vocal is much darker than the rest of the track, and that's making the vocal sound kind of dull. You might also say that it makes it sound a little bit muddy. So now that we've analyzed what it currently sounds like, let's talk about what we want it to sound like. I want this vocal to be super full and clear, and I want it to kind of leap forward in the track. And for that to happen, we need to get rid of some of the mud, and we probably need to bring up some of the brighter frequencies of the vocal to help it sit right in front of the track. So now that we've analyzed what it currently sounds like, we know a general idea of what we want it to sound like. Only after we've done that, now we apply EQ. And here's the big secret. We're not gonna think about boosts and cuts, because when we think about boosting and cutting specific bands and specific frequencies, it's very easy to overuse the EQ. Let me just demonstrate quickly so you can see what I mean. I might think to myself, this vocal sounds a bit muddy, and therefore we need to get rid of the lows in order to clean up the muddiness. So I would hyper focus my listening on the low end, and I would adjust this slider until I hear the muddiness go away.
Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe.
So somewhere around there, I heard the muddiness go away. I was laser focused on it. Now I might take a step back and listen to everything and say, what else does this vocal need?
Money, I got it. Whatever you want.
I might say, well, it doesn't sound quite as bright as the track. So now I'm gonna hyper focus my listening on the high end, and I'm just going to try to boost that until it sounds as bright as the track.
Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe.
And already we can see that this approach is terrible. We've completely destroyed the vocal tone here. We've lost all the character, we've lost all the warmth, and it just sounds empty and hollow. And the reason is because we were trying to laser focus on each band, trying to solve a problem with that one band. So now that we know what not to do, let me show you a better approach with EQ. I'm gonna zero this out. Instead of laser focusing on each band, trying to fix the vocal with that one band, I'm going to take a step back and listen more globally to the vocal tone. The entire time that I'm EQing, I'm trying to only listen to the overall tone of the vocal. And ultimately, what I'm trying to do is find the right balance between all of these sliders. I'm not trying to fix the muddiness with the lows or add the brightness with the highs. I'm just trying to find the right balance that leads to the vocal sitting where I want in the mix. Here's what it might look like.
Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe. I wanna feel your clothes, rubbing on my clothes. Come on, girl, let's go. You're the one I chose. Money, I got it. Whatever you want, you know that I got it, babe. You doing your shit. The way that you move got me excited, babe.
So a few things to notice. We can see that the EQ curve is way less drastic than what we did when we tried to fix it one band at a time. You could tell that I actually started by boosting the highs, and then I tried boosting the mids a little more than the highs, and I realized that that brought the vocal forward in a much more pleasant and natural way for this track. And once I did that, I realized, well, I don't quite need to cut as much low end. It doesn't sound muddy anymore. Just by boosting the mids and a little bit of the highs, the vocals sounded nowhere near as muddy as I thought it did. So just a tiny little cut here in the lows was all I needed. And then I noticed, okay, if I add a little bit of air in here, it's adding a nice sizzle to the vocal that works really well in this genre. But because I had already boosted the highs and mids, I didn't need quite as much air. I was able to strike a nice balance there on the high end. And the entire time I was setting this EQ, I was listening to the entire vocal. I wasn't trying to zero in my listening to a specific part of the frequency range. I was just listening to the entire vocal and trying to figure out how to get that vocal to sit where I want. So I hope you can see how thinking about the vocal tone as a balance of these different areas can lead to a more natural and balanced result. And you can use any EQ and still apply this approach to it. Just think globally and listen to the entire vocal as you're adjusting the EQ. By and large, this is how the pros EQ. And of course, there are some times where you have to zero in your listening, focus very carefully on a specific frequency range to maybe try to find a problem and fix it. But for the most part, when you're applying EQ creatively like this, you want to step back and listen to the entire tone, not hyper-focus on one thing. The more you're able to do this, where you're listening globally and applying changes and hearing those changes happen, but still listening to the overall tone, the better you can do that, the better you'll be at applying EQ, and honestly, the better you'll be at mixing in general. So I would try this if you wanted to practice it. Take a screenshot of your EQ as it is right now. Then go back, flatten it out, and try applying with this approach. And then compare how different was your curve after versus before. And you're probably going to see a different looking curve. It's probably going to be less extreme, and the sound is probably going to be a lot more natural and full. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment, and subscribe for more tutorials like this. And as always, happy mixing.